Hi everyone, it's Taz here. If you haven't met me, I'm Taz. Nice to meet you. So today I decided that I'm going to do a tutorial on how to travel. Quite often I get a lot of people asking me, how I travel, how much money I save, how to even do it, pretty much. So this is basically just going to be a quick little tutorial for anybody that hasn't traveled before. Some lessons that I definitely learned on my own traveling for the first time that probably would have been very helpful to know beforehand that I had to go through and make mistakes on my own. I thought I'd do this video now. It's definitely something that's been on my mind, but I just recently traveled. Well, I'm in Australia right now, and I'm from Canada, so I thought I'd do this now while it's all fairly fresh in my mind. Of just little travel tips and stuff like that that are a good thing to keep an eye out for, and some things that are good to get figured out before you go, and some things that are just better left to chance. If you are a traveler at heart, then yeah, you probably like adventures. So this is my recipe for adventure. All right, so number one, you kind of have to make a decision of how you want to travel. Are you going to be traveling on a budget, or are you going to be traveling with like free for all, whatever you're traveling, you're on vacation, you're not caring so much about money. That's particularly how I like to do it. Usually I'll save up about 20 grand before I go on a trip, because I don't like being on a budget, and I like just kind of leaving it as an open ball and being like, oh, well, if I want to rent a quad, I'll rent a quad, or, something may come up like, parachuting or a balloon ride or something like that. And I like to just know that I have the funds to do whatever I want when I'm traveling. So if you're going to do that, then I would definitely probably recommend it, just kind of leaving it open. Don't plan too much. But if you are going to be on a budget, then you need to decide whether you're going to get if you're going to go for the resort type of experience, or depending on where you're traveling, if you're going to go, if you're going to live in the heart of the city and the environment that you're traveling. If you want to be eating the local food, if you want to be meeting the locals, if you want to see how the local life actually is on a different part of the world. This way is probably actually cheaper to do that rather than a resort. Depending on where you're going, it's usually fairly cheap to, for how long you're going, it really depends as well. It's usually fairly cheap to find an apartment or find, a house to rent for a couple months if that's what you're wanting, or, some houses are rented out by the week, etc., etc. And your food's going to be cheaper too. Your food's going to be cheaper, your transportation's going to be cheaper because you're right there in the heart of the city. You're probably going to want to get looked out before. So internet is a good place to, obviously the only place to look at that kind of stuff. For me, why are you going? For me, the first time that I traveled, I was going scuba diving. So I literally got to find out all my information from the local scuba diving place that I had looked up and I booked with. I asked them what kind of places are there to rent. Are these people trustworthy? Because I wanted to make sure I had a place to go. As soon as I got there, I knew I was going to be tired from the journey. I wanted to know that I had a home and I could just move all my stuff in, relax, and then focus on when my dive class would start. So yeah, it's really good. If you're going for a specific reason, get in touch with a business down there, or down. Why do I keep saying down there? Over there, around there, anywhere around the world. Get in touch with some kind of business or something that you're interested in doing. They're going to be local. They're going to know the locals. They're going to know best place to stay, cheapest place to stay, and they'll be able to give you some tips through email or internet if you want to plan it out before you go. So number two, well, I guess that was number one. I don't know. That was a lot of information. Okay. So, number one, make sure you have a passport to go. Those are documents that you need to travel with. You need a passport and you need a boarding pass. So for me, my passport, I think I actually just went to a bar and got somebody to sign it because I didn't have anyone around me that I'd known for 5 years or that had known me for 5 years, and I found somebody to sign my passport like that. There's a number of different ways that you can get your passport quite quickly if you have a trip coming up really soon. You just have to pay more money, but yeah, you can actually get a passport in a day if that's something that, if you let it wait that long. After booking your ticket, memorize your booking number. Your booking number is your best friend. I don't know what kind of travel you are, how organized you are, but I tend to kind of fly by the seat of my pants. So if you lose your booking number, well, it's usually all online, but I don't know, let's say a scenario you can't get Wi-Fi, or you forgot to look up the plugins of the place that you're going. Like, for example, I'm in Australia right now, and this is my plugin from Canada. This is what my plugins look like. And they don't look like this in Australia. So all my technology was dead. I had nowhere to charge it on the airports, and that was just dumb. I should have look up the place that you're going, if you're going to need a converter or not. And by all means, definitely bring a converter. So in the situation that I couldn't get a hold of any of my information, my booking number's memorized. I just plug it in and I can get my next boarding pass. Or you can just scan your passport as well. You go up to a teller and you just talk to them. Talking to people is going to be your best friend in figuring out different airports. As soon as I get to an airport, the first thing I do, get my boarding pass. Get your boarding pass right away. Check your luggage. Weigh your luggage before you go. I think it's only about 50 kilograms or 70 pounds that you're allowed in each suitcase, and to pay extra for a bag that weighs too much is absolutely ridiculous. So make sure you weigh, you're allowed like 2 bags. Make sure you weigh them before you go. It's worth the while. I didn't do this, so here I am at the airport switching stuff from bags to luggage or whatever to try and make them both the same weight or pass the weight regulation. So yeah, after you get your boarding pass, then you go through security and find your boarding gate, find where you're going to be leaving from. If you only have about, 3 to 4 hours, the plane should be registered of what gate you are going to be leaving from. You need to know your airline name. Your airline is the plane that you're flying with. So, there's examples of Delta, WestJet, the kangaroo one with the little kangaroo. That's one in Australia, Australian Airlines, something like that. And you're basically going to go up to the counter that says your airline or the flight that you're flying with, and you'll talk to them. They'll give you your boarding pass, go through security, find your gate. Some airports can be really big. Some airports even have trains, like where you literally have to go downstairs and go to gate E or go to 8Z, go to gate whatever, right? So like they're huge. They're fucking huge. Pardon my language. So, you're going to want to find your gate first before you decide to do anything. Now, if I have, after boarding your flight, and you're obviously going to have, unless you paid a significant amount of money for it, you're obviously going to have a few layovers. If I have anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of a layover, I just stay at the airport. That's really not enough time to go and explore the city that you're landing in, because you do need to be there a couple hours before your flight leaves. There are, to get through security, I've pushed it to the very limits and just barely made it on my plane before. But 4 to 6 hours is really, really pushing it, unless you're going somewhere close to the airport, especially if you're in somewhere like Paris. I think the town is actually I think it's 2-hour train ride. No. Yeah, it's like a 45-minute train ride just to get to the city, because the airport's so far out, right? So you want to plan ahead for that. Look where you're going to be having a layover on. You can find this on your itinerary, because then it's kind of cool to know. I didn't do this. I realized I had an overnight layover in the second myrtle capital of the world, and everybody there spoke Spanish. Luckily, I spoke Spanish prior to this, but if I didn't, I would have been screwed, because I wouldn't even be able to make it to a hotel. I had no idea until I was landing there, oh, I'm going to be here for the night. Okay, cool. Brain fart. What am I saying next? This is going to be edited. Don't worry. I'm totally editing this. The next thought that I'm having is... layovers. Okay, so if you have anywhere from 8 to 12 hours to 24, by all means, go explore that city. It's worth it, you know what I mean? I love having layovers in random cities and random towns, because that's just another check mark, another place that I can check in on Facebook, or another place that I can say I've been to, I've explored, I've seen, take pictures, meet people, you know what I mean? Go up to the information counter at the airport and just ask them, what do I need to see in this town? What are your major attractions? And they'll tell you. And then you can get currency, or go to an ATM, get currency, whatever country you're landing, and get their right money, because you're going to need to pay the cab driver. If you're feeling really adventurous and really you trust yourself, then you can explore getting into trains and shuttles and stuff like that, because it's a cheaper way of transportation. But just make sure you're not going to get lost yourself. You know what I mean? I get lost everywhere I go. So just recently in Hong Kong, I decided to take the train because it was cheaper, but I was feeling confident. Okay, I've got enough hours If I do get lost, I'll find my way back to the airport in time. Yeah, so that's how it's like for layovers. Yeah, so then the rest of it really is just decide if you want to book everything before, have the place to stay, have your, somebody meet you at the airport, know exactly everything, or if you just want to wing it. For me, I like winging it. You do have to answer a little bit more questions to airport security of why you don't know what hotel you're going to stay at or whatever, but I find I have had better deals and better opportunities come to me without having booked every hotel and every stay as it is, because, you meet the locals, you get certain opportunities of like word of mouth, like, oh, this is a really cheap place to stay and it's really nice, you should stay here, or here, let me book this hotel for you because I'm a local and it'll be cheaper for you, or whatever, right? So I found that I've actually had better experience and a cheaper experience by just not booking anything, by just booking my flight and like literally just riding it out and seeing how it goes and see where I want to go. And it's funnest that way too, because you have so many opportunities. Like, you're not on an itinerary, you're not you have to be here at this time to do this and here to see this. It's like, it's literally like you can take any opportunity, like, and do whatever you feel like doing that day, and it just kind of gives you your power back, where if one day you feel like you really just want to go to the ocean and lay on the beach all day, you can do that. You're not on a set itinerary where you're just like, oh god, I'm tired, I've worn out, I've seen too much stuff, and that just ends up ruining your trip, because then you're like exhausted and you gotta go hike up some more pyramids or something, and you're just like, oh, I wish I could book this tour right now because I really just don't even want to do this. It kind of ruins the experience when you're too tired to do anything. Particularly if you're going through time zones, book your flight at night if you can, that is traveling through the night, and it will arrive in the morning of the time that you're landing in, because that way you can take some gravel pills or something and sleep through the whole night of the plane ride and be sort of on the time zone. This helps with jet lag a lot. Be on the time zone of where you're arriving. If you fly during the night of their time and you'll wake up and you'll arrive in the morning of their time, it just kind of helps you right away get rid of the jet lag if you just slept the whole entire plane ride, depending on how far you're flying. 6 hours. Most of my flights overseas are like 12 hours or something like that. What else here? Oh gosh, this is 12 minutes already. Is anybody actually gonna watch this all this time? Okay, so this is what I use. This is just a tablet case. This is really handy to me. See how big it is, okay? And then boom, it holds documents in here. I put my passport in here. I put my wallet in here. I put all my boarding passes in here. This is really easy to find. It's going through security out there. I know all my documents are in there. Pull that out of my bag, pull that out of my purse, and I can get all my documents in there. So this I highly recommend. This has been a lifesaver for me, especially if you want to go through airports relatively fast, or you don't have much time to switch flights and recheck your luggage. Oh, that's another thing too. If you get to another country, always make sure if you have to recheck your luggage or not. Because first time I traveled, I had no idea. I was supposed to pick up my luggage. It ended up getting left in Tegucigalpa, and I just wore like the same shorts for like a week straight trying to get my luggage to where I was. So definitely always make sure if you have to recheck your luggage or not. Other than that, if you're traveling alone, which I highly recommend, I absolutely love traveling alone. I find you really figure out who you are. You really get to know yourself right down to the core, because you put yourself in a situation where you don't know anybody and you're not around anybody that knows you, nobody that you have to be accountable to. You really reach down into yourself and you figure out who you are, like, because really you could be anybody. You're around people that have never met you before, so you find out who you are, you find out what you're made of. And if you are traveling alone, my best recommendation to you is be loud. Be loud, be heard, say hi to everyone. I learned the language in the first time that I traveled. I learned the language of where I was traveling to, and I spoke in their language as much as I could. I'd say hi to people on the streets, because you know what? This is your trip. This is your vacation. You're only going to meet as many people as you decide you're going to meet, and it's up to you. Nobody's going to come up to you. Well, they might, and be like, oh, hi, what's your name? Where are you from? You know what I mean? Be that first person to be like, I'm here. This is my trip. I'm creating this experience. Meet as many people as you can. And I'm telling you, this experience is life-changing. If you really just step out of your comfort zone and just say hi to everyone, nobody's gonna like hate on you and be like, oh, how dare they say hi to me with a smile. That's how you meet people. And I totally recommend it. Be loud, be proud. be belligerent. Just really get out there and be yourself. This is how you're going to create the most memories. This is how you're going to meet the most people. And this, that's really how you travel. So those are my tips for traveling. Feel free to check out my link if you want to know any more information about how I like to do my traveling. Other than that, I'm free to answer any questions that you guys may have. So shoot them on up to me. All right, bye for now, guys.